Picture this. You're standing in front of a man who will not react. Not to your insults, not to your threats, not even to the sun flashing off the edge of your blade. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't blink. His face is a locked door. And that nothing is the most terrifying thing you've ever seen. Because you came here with fire in your chest, and he came here with none. This is not a man without emotion. This is a man who cut his own puppet strings. His name is Miyamoto Musashi. And what he's about to do to Sasaki Kojiro isn't a sword fight. It's an execution of anger itself. April 1612. A small island off the coast of Japan called Ganryujima. Sasaki Kojiro is already a legend. Young, beautiful, terrifyingly fast, a national celebrity with a blade so long, people gave it its own nickname, the Drying Pole. He is standing on that beach at dawn, exactly where he said he'd be. Musashi is not. An hour passes. Kojiro's men start murmuring. 2 hours. The tide is moving. Kojiro's hands are starting to twitch at his side. Here's the part people miss. Musashi's lateness isn't laziness. It isn't fear. It's the first strike of the duel, and it lands before either man has touched a weapon. Because somewhere out on that water, in a little fishing boat, Musashi is doing something strange. He's carving a sword, not steel. Wood, shaped that morning from a spare oar, still damp, still rough. He steps onto that beach late, unarmed in the way Kojiro expected, holding a piece of wood like it's nothing. And his face is calm, not confident calm, not performing calm, stone calm. Kojiro is already boiling, and Musashi hasn't even said a word yet. So here's the question that actually matters. How does a man walk toward his own death? Because that's what a duel like this is, a coin flip with a sword, and feel nothing. Not adrenaline, not fear, not rage at being mocked, which Kojiro is absolutely doing right now, screaming across the sand that Musashi is a coward, that he's late, that he doesn't even deserve a real blade. None of it lands. And in a few minutes, you're going to understand exactly why. But first, we have to go back, years back, before Musashi was calm, before he was anything close to still. Because this man used to be a wildfire. Young Musashi fought over 60 duels in his life. In his 20s, he wasn't a monk in a robe radiating peace. He was reckless, arrogant. He fought for reputation, and reputation is a hungry thing. It never stops eating. He started to notice something after each win. The fear didn't go away. It just changed shape. Every victory meant a new rival wanted to be the guy who beat the guy who beat everyone. Every win added another name to the list of people who wanted him dead. And somewhere in that cycle, Musashi figured out the trap. Anger, he realized, is never really about the other person. Anger is ego wearing a mask. It's the part of you that needs to be right, needs to be respected, needs the world to bend around your version of events. And the second someone threatens that version, you ignite. So Musashi did something almost nobody does. He starved it on purpose. He stopped chasing comfort. He slept outside instead of indoors, in the woods, in the dirt, when he could have had a roof. He stopped bathing regularly, stopped grooming himself for status, stopped playing the game of looking impressive. Historians argue about how literal this actually was, but the intention is the part that matters. He was stripping away every single thing a man could be insulted about. Because here's the logic, and it's brutal in its simplicity. A man with nothing to prove is a man no one can provoke. You can't threaten someone's reputation if they've already let it go. But killing the ego is only step one. Because even a man with nothing to prove can still panic, still freeze, still get caught in his own head at the exact moment he needs to think clearest. Musashi needed something more than emptiness. He needed a mind that could actually function inside chaos. And what he built next is a concept so simple you could write it on a sticky note. and so hard to live that most people spend a lifetime failing at it. The Japanese phrase is mizu no kokoro, mind like water. Picture a still pond, drop a leaf on it, and the water shows you exactly what that leaf looks like. No distortion, no exaggeration. But throw a rock into that same pond and the surface goes chaotic. Ripples everywhere. Now, if a leaf lands, you can't see it clearly at all. The water is too disturbed to reflect the truth. Musashi believed the mind works the exact same way. A calm mind reflects reality accurately. It sees the opponent's stance, the wind, the terrain, the half-second opening in a guard, all of it clean and undistorted. But a mind churned up by anger or fear or overconfidence can't see any of that. It only sees itself, its own noise, its own fear talking louder than the facts in front of it. And this is the part people get wrong about Musashi. They think his goal was to feel nothing. It wasn't. His goal was to feel clearly. Fear was just as dangerous to him as rage. Overconfidence was just as dangerous as despair. Any extreme in either direction throws a rock in the water. The still mind isn't empty, it's accurate. That's the version of Musashi that stepped off the boat at Ganrijima. Not a man suppressing terror, a man whose water simply wasn't disturbed. Which brings up the obvious problem. Because a duel is not a peaceful place, your body floods with adrenaline whether you want it to or not. Your heart hammers. Your hands go cold or hot. That chemical storm is real, and it's happening whether your ego is intact or not. So what does Musashi do with all that raw energy screaming through his body in the moment before the kill? He doesn't fight it. He does something almost nobody expects. Musashi doesn't try to shut the storm down. He redirects it. That surge you feel before violence, the pounding chest, the tunnel vision, the electricity in your hands, Musashi doesn't experience that as fury. He experiences it as fuel. He takes the exact same chemical reaction that makes an untrained man swing wild and reckless, and he funnels it into something else entirely. Total, razor-sharp focus. Think of it like this. Rage and focus are made of the same raw material. The difference is what shape you pour it into. Pour it into rage, and you get wild, predictable, exploitable movement. A man swinging with his emotions instead of his eyes. Pour that same energy into focus, and you get a man who sees everything, feels everything, and is controlled by none of it. This is the whole secret. Musashi was never actually calm in the way people imagine, some flatline, monk-like nothing. He was intensely alert, every nerve online, but none of that intensity was leaking out as anger. It was all being spent on seeing clearly. That's the man who steps onto the sand at Ganrijima. Not numb, loaded. So now you understand what's actually happening on that beach. Kojiro is screaming. Kojiro is humiliated in front of his own men, waiting for hours. Insulted with a wooden practice sword instead of steel. Every single thing Kojiro built his identity on, his fame, his speed, his reputation as the fastest blade in Japan, is being casually ignored by a man who looks bored. And ego, remember, is a leash. Musashi already knows this. He's not improvising. He built this entire moment on purpose. Kojiro's mind right now is not still water. It's a hurricane. And a man fighting from inside a hurricane cannot see the rock waiting under the surface. He's about to make the first move. And it's going to be the wrong one. Real quick before we get to the strike that ends this. If this kind of story is doing something for you, this is exactly the kind of thing this channel exists for. Stories about discipline, mastery, and the mental war behind it. If you want more of that, hit subscribe and drop a like so more people see this. It actually helps more than you'd think. Okay, back to the beach. Kojiro can't take it anymore. Musashi's stillness isn't just annoying him, it's dismantling him in real time, piece by piece, in front of an audience. And Kojiro does the one thing a man with a disturbed mind always eventually does. He lunges first, not because it's strategically smart, not because he saw an opening. He lunges because his nervous system made the decision for him. The insult, the humiliation, the hours of waiting. It all builds into a single reflex, and that reflex fires before his brain can stop it. This is the exact moment Musashi has been engineering since he stepped off that boat late. Kojiro is no longer fighting with intention. He's fighting on autopilot, predictable, telegraphed, and completely readable to a man whose water hasn't moved an inch. The puppet strings just snapped, and Musashi can see every single one of them. One movement, that's all it takes. Musashi steps in, the wooden sword comes down, and Kojiro, the fastest blade in Japan, the celebrity, the man everyone bet on, falls dead on the sand. No drawn-out battle, no exchange of a dozen strikes. Because that was never going to be a fair fight in the way people imagine. It was decided the moment one man's mind was calm water and the other man's mind was a hurricane. Musashi didn't win because he was faster. He won because he was the only one on that beach who wasn't fighting his own emotions. At the same time, he was fighting his opponent. He turns and walks back toward the boat. No celebration, no speech. He leaves the corpse of his own ego behind him on that sand right along with Kojiro's. Because the version of Musashi capable of being needled into a rage died years before this fight ever started. And here's the part worth sitting with. The real teaching underneath all of this isn't really about swords, it's about triggers. Musashi's philosophy at the bottom of it was resolute acceptance of death. Not a grim, depressing surrender. A clean-eyed honesty about the fact that everyone he faced, everyone he loved, and he himself was going to die eventually, regardless of what happened on any given day. And once you actually stare that down, instead of flinching from it, something strange happens. You stop needing the world to behave the way you want it to. And anger, remember, was never really about the insult. It was about the ego demanding the world cooperate with its version of things. Kill that demand, and there's nothing left for anyone to pull on. No leash, no strings, just stillness. And in a world built on baiting your reactions, a comment section, a rival, a bad day, that stillness might be the sharpest weapon anyone's ever built. If this one hit different, there's more where it came from. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.